Hey everybody, it's Kimberly Michelle here with Canvas Corp Brand's Creative Crew, and today I'm going to show you how to make creative backgrounds with high impact paint from Tattered Angels. So the first technique I'm going to show you is masking. I used 1/4 of an inch washi tape for this, and I randomly put my tape down in a design that I liked. I chose a geometric pattern. The paper that I'm using is 140-pound mixed media paper for all of these demonstrations. So the first thing I'm doing is taking a makeup sponge and applying some purple paint into the corner, and then I'm going to use the hot pink above that. And I'm just dabbing it on, and this creates a lot of texture and interest. I also used a scrap piece of paper to help with the masking as well, so I wouldn't get my clean areas dirty. Next, I'm going to apply this gorgeous blue paint that is really going to make the piece pop. And again, that scrap piece of paper comes in handy whenever you just need a little extra help with the masking. And then for this little square, I'm going to use antique gold. And instead of using the makeup sponge, I decided to use a stippling brush to create a different texture, and I really like that. So here I'm finishing this up, and I loved how it turned out. So next, the fun part is removing the masking tape or your washi tape. And it's going to reveal all those clean lines and a fun background that you can use in your mixed media projects or cards. So the next project I'm going to show you is how to use heat embossing with the paints. I have this dry brush paint background that I created, and you're going to need embossing powder, which I use clear, a watermark ink, and I'm using a powder tool, and this reduces the static cling so the powder doesn't stick as bad to the free areas. So I'm going to run that all over my paper. And I'm going to use a text stamp for my background, and just going to ink that all up and taking my background to the stamp. And that's much easier, and I can get it centered. And next I'm going to apply my embossing powder, and I'm just going to cover the entire piece with the embossing powder. And shake off the excess. And then I'm going to heat up my heat tool and melt that embossing powder. And the key is to keep your heat tool moving around so you don't scorch the paint or the paper. So next I love that. Next I'm going to add some purple paint to this. And I took some semi-wet baby wipes for this technique. So I'm just putting on some paint directly onto the piece, and then I'm taking my baby wipe and I'm just going to rub that all around. And you'll see how that pink comes through, the white from the paper comes through, and then the embossing comes through. And it creates a really neat texture. And then I let this dry a little bit, or completely I should say. And then I'm going to take a paper towel and kind of buff off the excess paint that's on the embossing. And here's another one that I did that I'm showing you. So the next technique is using baby wipes for blending and some dry brushing. And for this I'm using 3 colors. I'm using the blue, white, and hot pink. And what I'm going to do is just take a baby wipe and just blend this paint on here. I'm going to go from light to dark, and there's really no wrong way of doing this. It's going to turn out really cool any way you do it. But I am going to add some white paint to the middle here that's going to kind of marry those colors together and create a soft purple. And I actually liked how the blue paint looked on top of the pink, and I wind up just completely adding the blue paint everywhere, and I love the color. As you can see here, I'm sorry I'm a little off camera. So I like how that turned out. So next I'm going to dry brush some antique gold paint on, And I'm just going to take my brush and the paint that's in the cap, I'm going to dip my brush in that and just quickly go back and forth over my background. And there's no right or wrong way to do this. You can make it as heavy or as light as you would like, and it's going to be gorgeous. And the light really reflects off this gold paint and is just stunning. I'm going to fix a little corner there. Okay, the last technique I'm going to show you, I think is my favorite, is using cling wrap. And I found out the secret to this is water. So I really watered down my paint and I just mixed it on there in random brush strokes, and that was the secret, was the water, is to keep your paint wet. So I'm going to add a little bit more of this purple paint. And again, I'm going to spritz it with some water so it's nice and wet before I put my cling wrap on. And I had to put a couple pieces on because I missed that corner there to the right. And I did not let this sit overnight. I just kept messing with it and scrunching it. And then whenever I was happy with the way it looked, I peeled back the cling wrap and had this gorgeous texture. And this is my favorite. So give these a try and let us know how they worked out for you. Bye-bye.